I am doing great. How are you? Hey, good. Busy. A lot of stuff coming out with Microsoft. We have a lot of customers that are starting to really delve into the extended functionality of 365. So outside of just online exchange and Teams, they're really starting to explore the other things that come with the licensing. So that's a thing too that we don't always really highlight, but we should talk about the features that come with certain levels of licensing and stuff, and just have that as kind of an open conversation, so that people really know what's available out there. Yeah, and there's actually a licensing matrix that a person that works at Microsoft has created, that allows you to see your license or compare licenses, and then see all of the features that come with each of those licenses with clickable links to be able to go in and discover more. They're all Microsoft articles about what those features provide and everything. So it's really a good way to figure out kind of what you have and what you're maybe not using, or could be using. Sure. So the first thing I think we had this slide the last time, but we should probably review it, is the new Teams interface, basically upgrade. So there's probably still some people out there that are on the classic Teams interface, which is basically that, that front end of SharePoint that allows you to use Teams to talk to each other, share documents, all of that kind of stuff. There are still some classic installs of that out there, and Microsoft is going to do a hard cutover on March 31st, with a few exceptions with the VDI users, but for the most part, they're trying to get rid of that classics Teams client and get onto the new Teams client. So if you do have anything kind of hooked up to it that you're worried about or anything, you might want to get ahead of that. Before March 31st. So that's coming up here pretty quick.
That's definitely a put that date on your calendar and set reminders kind of a thing. Very important.
Yep. So the big update recently was Copilot was released, and it was released kind of rolled out, to enterprise customers first, anybody with more than 300 people. But now it's available for everyone. So if you're interested in it and you want to look into the different possibilities, features of it, it's definitely something that can help for content creation. The tenant version, which is what most of our customers will be using because they have, business tenants, is $30 per month per user. And you do have to commit to a 1-year license. So even though it's a per month cost, you do have to commit to that 1-year license for it. The non-tenant personal use license is $20 per month. And then they do also have the free Copilot. And as more things roll out and more demos become available, we'll be sure to highlight, the Copilot features.
I want to jump in here, John, and say that I do use Copilot daily now, and it's been a game changer for a lot of things. Now, I don't use it for everything. And don't mean to imply that it's the best thing for everything that you can do, but it's been a labor saver in many different ways, being able to go back into a meeting and say, summarize this meeting. Tell me what this meeting was about. Because I actually was disconnected from a meeting the other day, but I had it being recorded and transcribed. And when I went through it, I said, I got disconnected. I connected back and the recording was still going. And I said, what did I miss? And it told me, it said, in the last 90 seconds, they talked about. That was very cool. I thought that was a really nice little thing. The other thing was, we get, like you said, content creation, being able to create some of those repetitive documents. A lot of repetitive stuff that gets created, but it still needs to have substance to it. I was able to take data and compile it into a summary. That's been a great tool. Rather than having to look stuff up from 10 different places myself, Copilot could do that, very quickly.
Yeah, and I think the thing is you're a lot of times already doing a lot of the stuff that Copilot makes easier for you. It's just instead of having to create a document and put in a graph or figure out those pieces of it, and become an expert at all of the tools and stuff for Word or Excel or whatever you happen to be using, you can let Copilot do it for you. It'll still make the same kind of graphs and still, do all of that. But you kind of give them the keys and just say, hey, this is what I'm looking to get. This is what I want to present. This is the data that I need. Show me what you can do, and then Copilot will bring it back and say, basically, is this what you want? And then you can fine tune it from there. And that kind of, leads into this next slide. Well, actually the slide after this one. One last thing quick on the, just the levels of 365 that you need to be able to add on the license to it. Microsoft 365 E5 or E3, Office 365 E5 or E3, and then Business Premium and Business Standard. So you have to be on one of those. If you have Business Basic or an F3 license, you're not going to be able to use Copilot. So,
okay.
Anyway, so I kind of threw this together as like a sneak peek of Copilot. It's very simple, but while you're in, let's say, Word, um, you'll have this option. It's the little Copilot logo where it says create content with Copilot. And you'll be able to click on that and it'll open up this box and you can actually, put in your requirements. In this case, draft a proposal from yesterday's meeting notes and attach the meeting notes and then hit go. And what it'll do is it'll generate content for you. And then you'll get this second box down here that'll basically just say, keep it or fine tune it. You can tell it, well, that looks good, but can you also include these topics or items? And it'll redo it for you. So.
That's very cool. I really do like that. The one thing I like the one minor thing that I'm still struggling with is how many documents you can attach. Like you can go and specify one, but it actually is trying to be intelligent about which documents you can look at. Like it won't let you browse and go and look. It'll actually just say the last couple documents you worked on. So it's slightly different there on the
Yeah, and I'm sure they're going to tune that, with the feedback, because they do a lot of crowdsourcing for feedback on a lot of these tools. So I'm sure that's, like we've brought up things with them about licensing and whatnot for 365, and trying to get Microsoft to make it more conducive to our customers and everything. So, but this just goes to show you how easy it is. It's not like an application that you have to open. They're really making it simple for you to go, I'm writing this thing, I already have 3 paragraphs of things that I've written, but I just want to insert a table, and you just click on it and tell it what to do,
Logo that pops up. It's a little logo that'll pop up in your document. You click it and boom, you get this window that you can then do whatever you need to do.
Yeah, and if you change your mind, you just hit the X and it closes, so you're not stuck in this, oh, now I have, 5 pages of documents that I don't know what to do with. And as you can see, you can refresh it or just throw it in the trash after it's generated it. And then you can, kind of give some feedback too on whether it's accurate or not. So if it's not accurate, then, that all goes back into the machine, right? And helps build that language model.
Correct.
So let's jump into some other things. Microsoft Teams Discover. So if you have Teams channels that you belong to, under the Teams window that shows all your channels, they have a new thing called Discover. And if you click on Discover, it gives you a feed with your popular Teams channels content. So if there's an active conversation going on, it's kind of Microsoft's way to give you kind of a news feed in a way, without you having to set up specific, feeds or notifications per channel. And you can basically look at it and, page through it. If there's one of them you don't really want to see a lot, there's this, is this useful, off to the right of the content of each section of it, each, channel that it's showing you an update from, and you can just hit, no, and it'll take that out of there. In mine, it actually brought up, because even conversations that you have with someone else is kind of considered a channel, it brings up some of that too. So if you don't belong to a lot of channels, it'll actually just kind of show you some summaries of conversations that you had or documents that you helped co-edit, and it'll show you that as just kind of a summary of, hey, what's been going on in the last week or two,
Right. Yep.
So it's kind of a cool thing to be able to stay connected. Plus, if you've missed some notifications or you're not jumping on all of the alerts that you get, might be a way to pick something up that you might normally miss.
This is a fun feature to play with, and it just comes with Teams. You don't have to do anything. There's no special licensing. It just, when you get your latest update, you'll get this feature. So definitely play around with this one. I like it.
A new feature, and they call it a feature, but basically when you're creating a team, now instead of having to designate that you want to create a team from scratch, it automatically just defaults into a team from scratch. And it tells you right away you're creating a team from scratch. So you're not, cloning anything or bringing in other users or anything. It's just right out of the box, the new default for the Teams channel creation is creating a team from scratch. So, and it's the first box that pops up. So it gives you an option and it just lets you know uh, what you're, what you're creating. You do have some other options if you do want to do some channel cloning or bring in different users from different groups and everything. You just click on that more create team options, and it takes you into those additional options. So they're fine tuning a lot of the different options that you have to make communicating with each other easier, creating teams, channels easier. Just kind of trying to make it more usable for everyone.
Quicker, faster, simpler.
Yep.
Very nice. I'm going to interrupt you, John, real quick and just remind everybody that is watching us. We are live on YouTube and LinkedIn, and please message us your questions if you have any, and we'll do our best to answer them live on the air. So, all right, what else you got for us?
So along with creating Teams channels, you can actually archive channels now. So you can take a channel, you can, as long as you're the owner or the administrator of that channel, you can archive it. So I don't need this anymore, but I don't really want to fully get rid of it. So you can archive it. It removes it from the Teams channel so nobody can access it or see it, but it can be restored. So if you do archive it and don't use it for a long time, and then you go, hey, I kind of want to bring that back. Like let's say you have a water cooler channel or something like that just people aren't really getting into, but you don't want to completely rebuild it from scratch. You can bring that back and tweak it and make it, something that's going to be more accepted by your coworkers.
Right. To be clear, this is different from before where you could archive teams, where you'd archive teams
Correct.
and all their channels. Now you can archive just one channel.
Yep.
Got it.
And some of this stuff too, I think, we got to, a lot of this stuff is first quarter, end of first quarter, beginning of second quarter. This is the Q2 update, which is the beginning of Q2 basically, but it's essentially stuff that's going to be released up till the end of March. So I tried not to go into April or anything that's not available yet, but some of this stuff might not be clickable yet until the end of March, but that's on the roadmap, that's where the release, this is all releasing content. So
Definitely. That's great.
Switching over to Teams, when you're doing a Teams call, they have an updated gallery view. So now you've probably noticed this. It looks like it's been out for a little while now, but basically it will tile all of everyone's video and just their personalized icons if they're not sharing their video by default tiles. So the more people you get, the smaller the tiles get. The less people you have, the bigger the tiles get. And you can go in and change this experience. You can personalize it just within the view. But out of the box, it's going to tile everybody like this. Before it used to be if you were sharing your video, you were on the big screen. If you weren't, you were just a little box on the side. So.
No, that's a very cool thing for inclusivity in meetings. Being able to say like, look, I don't want to show my face, but that doesn't mean I don't want to see I don't want to be seen on the big screen kind of thing.
Right.
Yep. No, I like that. Definitely like that.
New to Teams Stream now, you can actually add hyperlinks and text callouts to your videos. So as people are watching your videos, you can put in a hyperlink that's active that they can click on, or you can call out certain areas of your video on the video itself. So you can annotate and put callouts within your video. So a lot more getting closer to that kind of video studio type thing where you can edit your video. It's not just a recording anymore. So
very nice.
All right, and the last one that we have today, it's kind of a quicker session today, but the last one that we have today is Microsoft Syntax. They have a translation app that they've created to be able to allow to translate from different countries' languages into other languages. So this currently is not available for government cloud rollout, but we'll see if that becomes a thing or not. But you basically just select your document, you open Microsoft Syntax, and then you can either, if you don't know what language it's in, you can do the auto detect. Otherwise, you switch which language that you want it converted from and to.
Very nice. Yeah, Microsoft Syntax is a very powerful tool that Microsoft has that they use for large data sets, uh, large amounts of data in 365. You know, being able to categorize all your documents, being able to do truly the data governance piece and looking at all the data on the whole. But then being able to do things like this, where you can say, hey, I've got this chunk of data that's in Chinese, and I need to translate it to English. Well, you can do that in this kind of a scenario in bulk. That's the key here. 10,000 documents to translate to English is a challenge.
Yeah.
But with something like this, you've got that ability.
Well, and even with, you know, these types of tools, you would normally have to go to a third-party application to do. Same thing with like archiving an individual Teams channel. Uh, there's other companies that build kind of bolt-on applications that allows you to do some of that stuff. Microsoft is now building a lot of that stuff into the core software, so you don't have to go elsewhere to find it. So, and a lot of this stuff is just included, right? So it's not additional costs to the end user, it's included in the licensing. And I think, David, you bring up a good point about data governance. There's a lot of updates and information coming out for Purview, Microsoft Purview. If you're not familiar with that, that's basically their online data governance for the 365 environment for documents, DLP, what people have access to, what they can share, what kind of content, how do you store it, how do you keep it secure. And Purview is, you can tell they're putting a lot into it. It's not required to do any of the Copilot stuff, but could be very helpful. You can apply policies to your data. You can just help secure your data a lot more than just with permissions. And so, there's a lot of stuff coming out with that right now. So I kind of feel like the dust is still settling on it a little bit. So, but as that information comes out and as that becomes more, more of an industry standard for the 365 environment, we'll have more updates on that. The functionality of it, the building up policies and whatnot. David, you were going to mention something too about Intune.
Oh, yes.
I think that'd probably be a good time to do that.
Yeah, so obviously this came across desk recently. So with all of the developments that Copilot has had, and we have all the products that 365 has had, it's not going to be any surprise that the Copilot technology to everything, whether they call it Copilot or not, that's irrelevant. But it's going to be there. The one that they've got that has just been discussed, and I don't know if it's actually been fully released or if it's an announcement. They have Copilot for Intune, which effectively would allow you to troubleshoot and do queries about any devices that are in Intune that are being managed by Intune. You can say how many Apple devices do I have that are below this patch level? How many? What does this error mean that I've got on this machine? Basically, querying your data, querying your IT infrastructure itself using the Copilot tool. It's very powerful tool.
Yeah, I saw in there too that it was like, based on your environment, we recommend these kind of policies too, which I think is the hardest part with Intune is what policies do you want to adopt? Now, obviously there's, policies that could be applied to everyone, right? Like you should run BitLocker, everybody should have password policies.
Right.
And I think where Intune is really important is when you go full cloud, where you don't have a domain controller and you're using Entra AD. How do you manage those endpoints? Well, you have to use Intune or you use some kind of RMM tool. And using Intune to do that is great, but out of the box, it's just going to be blank, right? You basically enroll the machines to Intune. Now you have to apply policies to those machines because out of the box, they're not going to have a whole bunch. Now they do have, you can look at some, they have some templates, that they've kind of learned from other environments similar to yours, that you can look through and apply those. So they kind of have an environmental type of template that you can apply. But for the most part, you have to come up with these policies. Same thing with Purview, you have to come up with these policies. And if there's something that can help assist in that, to give you a little bit more of an easy button, or at least a starting spot, to find out, how should I be using this? You can obviously watch all the videos that you want, but in an active environment, when it's looking at your environment, it's nice to have that option. And AI, I think the AI term gets thrown around a lot, but it being able to see what you have and kind of tell you what you should do, or give you some options for recommendations, is truly an assistant, right, helping you set this up.
Yep.
So you still have to make the decisions, you still have to say yes or no, you still have to implement them, but to have something there to actually interact with you is gives you a step ahead. So
right. I did want to circle back on one thing, the Microsoft Syntax that we kind of mentioned. Anybody who hasn't seen this, or at least gone through and looked at a demo of this, it's a product also that doesn't get discussed a lot, but it's immensely powerful. It allows document system knowledge of what a document is. And then you can do things with that document and kick off workflows based on the content. I'll give you an example. Let's say, for example, I take an invoice that I got, and I get hundreds of these invoices a week, and I'm in accounting. And the standard procedure would be scan it in and save it in my OneDrive or my SharePoint, wherever I save it. Well, now it's in 365, and 365 goes, hey, without syntax, it could just say, okay, it's a document. With syntax properly implemented, it can go, hey, I recognize this is an invoice. And this section here contains the address. This section contains the billing amount. And it could kick off workflows to, say, automatically process that information and enter the data somewhere, track it, what have you, based on the contents of that document. And then also automatically tag that document as being private, sensitive. Like, you don't want everybody to see the invoices. So Syntax, very powerful tool, very interesting to look at. And now with AI augmentation, now that they've really been working on the Copilot section of things, it's going to be even more so.
Yeah, it's kind of like intelligent indexing.
Yeah.
So being able to look at the data and do things with it, as opposed to, like you said, just storing a document. This is a document; it has words in it.
To know what the data is, in fact,
right,
and then be able to take and do something with the information in that data, right? Like about the actual information, not just raw data.
And a lot of that stuff, if you think about syntax and Purview, a lot of that is in document management software. So metadata tagging, being able to protect certain data, make it non-deletable, all of that kind of stuff is a lot of times used in a lot of the big box, document management solutions. So.
Yep, and that's where Microsoft is looking at, I believe. But that's my opinion anyway.
So that's all I have for this week or this session, and there'll be more to come. We have several of these throughout the year, so just stay tuned. And I guess that's all, folks, for now. And David, do you want to take us out?
Absolutely. Well, thanks again, John, for briefing us on the latest Microsoft 365 updates. And thank all of you for joining us here today on this week. If you have any further questions, you didn't get a question answered today, feel free to come visit us at our website at www.netcenter.net, info@netcenter.net, or look at us on any of our social media channels. You can also check us out on approximately every 2 weeks when we do go live, and you can join us on either LinkedIn or YouTube. And if you do look at us on YouTube, please subscribe and click the notification bell so that you do get notified when we do go live, which is approximately every 2 weeks, as I said. That being said, John, again, thanks for coming, and we'll see you on the next update when you come, and I'm sure there's lots more information to come with 365.
Always a pleasure.
All right.
See you next time.
And thanks everyone for joining us on MCI Live.